Good morning. Call to order this called meeting of the Montgomery County Commissioners. This the 7th day of September 2018. It is 9 a.m. Meeting is officially called to order. First thing we need on behalf of the Montgomery County Commissioners is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Copeland. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Matheny. Are there any discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Do we have anyone in attendance that wishes to speak at the public forum? Apparently we do not, so Mr. Manager will forego those procedures. And at this point, I want to read this into the record. That pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318 11A3, the Board of Commissioners will entertain a motion for a closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. General policy matters may not be discussed in closed session, and nothing herein shall be constructed to permit public body to close a meeting that otherwise would be open merely because an attorney employed or retained by the public body is a participant. The public body may consider and give instructions to an attorney concerning the handling or settlement of a claim, judicial action, mediation, arbitration, or administrative procedures if the public body has approved or considered a settlement other than a malpractice settlement or on behalf of a hospital in closed session. The terms of that settlement shall be reported to the public body and entered into its minutes as soon as possible within a reasonable amount of time after the settlement is concluded. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion from Commissioner Wooten. Have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Matheny. Are there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. The county commissioners, thank you. The county commissioners are in a closed session, which we'll exit to that in just a second.
Chairman.
Yes.
Would you just mention for the record that Jeff Jordan, representing J5, will be
Yes.
joining us in closed session, as will the county manager, and Cat McRae from Due South Realty will be joining us via teleconference.
Okay. I'll let you, I think, is that good enough for the record? Did you get that? All right. We'll consider it announced. We're in closed session, Mr. Mayor. Need a motion from the county commissioners' side to open the session.
So moved.
Out of closed session, open session. Motion from Commissioner Copeland, second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Matheny. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
I would entertain a motion from the Town Board of Mount Gilead to move from closed session back into open session.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. We are now in open session.
In our closed session, we consulted with our attorney, Mrs. Hayes Finley, Mr. Tom Terrell from Smith Leatherwood are here. And I don't know which of you is going to make the report. Mr. Terrell, I think, if you will, you'll come up and report on our closed session, please, sir.
Commissioner Morris and Mayor Miller,
and members of the Town Council of Mount Gilead and the Board of Commissioners of Montgomery County. I am pleased to be standing here to report on a tremendous victory for the citizens of Montgomery County. I would like to thank the attorneys and the leadership of Union County and the state of North Carolina for coming to the table to work hard to get to a settlement of long and hard-fought litigation. But I believe, subject to your approval, that we have gotten here today. I'd like to walk you through very briefly the history and what the terms of a settlement agreement are with both the state and Union County. But we've been in litigation for at least 2 years challenging the issuance of a certificate from the state of North Carolina to Union County and the town of Wingate to withdraw 23 million gallons of water a day from Lake Tillery. Lake Tillery, as you all know, represents 45% of your tax base, and it represents the source of your drinking water. It is the resource that is going to make sure that you can grow from now up until the next centuries, not just decades, but centuries. And I am absolutely confident that your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren will look back on what you did in this litigation to protect their interest at that time. We were scheduled to be in trial starting next week. Trial was going to take 3 weeks. We have had over 50 depositions. Many of you here have been deposed. We have had numerous requests for information, public record requests in this process. It has been long, it has been arduous. The leadership of Montgomery County in the forms of its elected officials, its commissioners, Mr. Woodard, the county manager, has been tremendous. The leadership of this county has stepped forward to protect its citizens. The leadership of this county has worked hard. The leadership of this county took risks. The leadership of this county was in this for the right reasons. The leadership of this county was here to protect not just the citizens who we know today, but the future citizens, the future businesses that will one day have the fortune to call themselves citizens of Montgomery County. Here's what we were able to achieve through a negotiated settlement with the state of North Carolina. I will come to Union County second, but with the state of North Carolina, we have been able to negotiate several protections for the people of this county going forward every time there's an interbasin transfer requested from Lake Tillery. And I think we all know that as time goes on, Lake Tillery is going to be a target for water for all of the growth occurring in the orbit of the city of Charlotte. Number one, this litigation has caused the Department of Environmental Quality to stop and ask itself whether it is correctly and appropriately informing citizens of this state when there is something like an interbasin transfer. And they have agreed that they will study and review every single process that they use to make sure they are adequate for the protection of citizens as we go forward in the future. This coming Wednesday or Thursday, depending upon which agenda it will be on, we have an agreement that the North Carolina Environmental Management Commission will place on its agenda the consideration of a rule or policy that for all future interbasin transfers, that they will use newspapers of general circulation in every community, and that those newspapers shall be the local newspaper based in that community, including the Montgomery Herald for Montgomery County. I'll mention parenthetically that they chose the local newspapers for every community in this past process, except the local newspapers of the communities that touch Lake Tillery. And I think that will never happen again. We also have this agreement. It will come by way of a letter from the state of North Carolina that that there will be a recommendation coming out of the Department of Environmental Quality that the Yadkin PD River Basin will be the next river basin that is studied in the state of North Carolina. We also have an agreement that the department will recommend that funding for this study be requested from the North Carolina legislature in the 2019 session. That is a huge step, not only for your citizens, but for the people within the broader basin, because until you have a scientific engineering study for all of the water flowing in, can you determine how much water can safely come out and how much needs to stay here for your basin adequately and safely to survive. We also have an agreement that we finalized just late last night with Union County and the town of Wingate. It includes the following. Number one, there will be a voluntary but enforceable reduction of the maximum gallons per day of what they can take out of Lake Tillery between now and 2020. That amount will be 16 million gallons per day. It is 7 million gallons per day less than what they are allowed to do by certificate.
2020, did you say?
2030.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, 2030. Number two, the modeling, the computer models that are used can be either public or private. There is a model currently used by the state of North Carolina that is open to the public for use as long as you go through the state of North Carolina website, through the state of North Carolina portal. It is a model that our state understands and uses. The current study, however, that's been done by Union County and the town of Wingate is a different model. It is proprietary. It is not open for you to see. It is not open for the state of North Carolina to study and look at, except as allowed by private groups or those who are wishing to obtain permits from the state. They have agreed, Union County has agreed to make this computer model available to your citizens. They are, at its cost, they are going to place this model on the Union County website. They are going to pay their private engineers to figure out how to do it technologically. They're going to pay for the license, and they also are going to provide online tutorials so that anybody who wants to learn how to use the model can do so. There is a group called the Yadkin PD Water Management Group that is privately controlled. You can only be a member by a supermajority vote of those who already are members. They have agreed, Union County has agreed, that it will pay your membership dues that are at currently $5,000 a year for 5 years. So you are now able to be a member of that group at no cost to you for 5 years. Finally, they have agreed that Union County will pay penny for penny everything that Montgomery County has spent in this litigation for experts, for legal fees, for deposition, out-of-pocket cost, up through August 31, 2018. And that amount comes to approximately $659,000. So those are the main points. In exchange for this, Montgomery County, the town of Mount Gilead, Lily's Bridge Marina, and New South Realty, the two private parties, would have to agree that you will dismiss your claims against the state of North Carolina and Union and the town of Wingate, so that you cannot reinitiate that lawsuit. It would be a permanent dismissal of all the claims. And of course, we would all have to sign the settlement agreements that have been negotiated with the towns, with the town of Wingate, Union County, and the state. Those settlement agreements are not yet final. They are still being drafted in, with some of the final language being worked out. They are not at a point where they can be disclosed. They will be disclosed in their entirety the moment they are signed and everything has been fully worked out. But I am able to tell you what the key essential terms of those agreements are. Mr. Chairman and Mr. Mayor, what I would ask from each of your boards is that you approve this settlement and that you authorize me to do the final negotiations with all the parties in this case, and then to report back to you for final signature of those documents.
Mr. Terrell, before we do that, for the Montgomery County Commissioners and then to the Mayor, any questions for Mr. Terrell? We also have J5 in attendance. Do you have any questions, Mr. Jordan? Okay. From the Commissioners, any questions, comments? Mr. Mayor?
Town Board Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Terrell this time?
Okay.
So, Mr. Terrell, what I'm going to ask for from our county commissioners is a motion to approve the settlement terms that you just described to us and reviewed with us, and authorize you to do any final negotiations on this settlement agreement, and to authorize me as chair to sign those agreements once they're finalized. Is that
Correct.
correct? Do I have that motion?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Matheny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Copeland. Are there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Commissioners, Town of Mount Gilead, I would, if you're agreeable, I would entertain a motion to accept the terms of the settlement agreement as proposed by Mr. Tom Terrell, and authorize Mr. Terrell to negotiate the final settlement terms for signature. Entertain a motion to do so.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Motion has approved.
Thank you.
Mr. Terrell, you have any other business before our board, for the Commissioners Board?
Let me just say one more final time how much of a pleasure it's been for my law firm to represent the town of Mount Gilead, J5, New South, and Montgomery County. This is a wonderful community. My law firm, my colleagues have enjoyed meeting every one of you. It is a community whose leaders have integrity. It's a community whose leaders support the citizens. It has been a pleasure for us from beginning to end, and we thank you for that.
Ms. Finley, we know the work you've put in it. You've sort of been lead counsel on this, even though Tom presented this. Mr. Terrell, thank you for what you've done for the county and the town as well.
Likewise, from town of Mount Gilead, Mr. Terrell, and Ms. Finley, thank you so much for what you have done. It's been great working with you folks.
Mr. Manager, Chris, your staffs, we know the hours, the time. Thank you so much for what you've done. Any other comments from our Commissioner Board?
Just want to kind of echo what you said. We appreciate your studiousness and particularly the tenacity that Matthew and Chris and everybody keeping us informed and going at it for us. We really appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
Comments?
I'll add my thanks to Hayes and Tom for the hard work that they've put in, and frankly, I think they've achieved more than I would have expected along the way. We appreciate it.
That being said, the county commissioners, this session of the county commissioners is adjourned.